Hey, what's up guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist, and today we're doing a Sky Striker Numeron deck profile. So this deck is a really interesting deck that actually can use the Sky Striker package along with the Numeron package to OTK your opponent, where Sky Strikers kind of control the board and can hold down the fort and go in for the grind game, whereas the Numeron package just summons a bunch of big gate machine monsters that just go in for like 8k damage and destroy your opponent, which is really fun to do. So surprisingly enough, we still also have the S0 Utopic Zexal, which is one of the most insane cards in the entire game and ever been printed, that literally just tells your opponent you can't play during your turn. It did just get banned in the OCG, so we're going to enjoy it while it lasts. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can come part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below because we have some awesome rewards for you guys, like getting your daily description for every single video, getting a signed card in the mail, or even getting requested deck profile just like this one every single month that you are a patron, along with test hands. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're playing 3 copies of Sky Striker Ace Ray. So Ray is like the main monster that you're going to want to play in this deck as a 3-up. She has the quick effect that you contribute this card to special summon a Sky Striker Ace monster from your extra deck to an extra monster zone, which is pretty good to just be able to just instantly get out one of your link monsters, because they're all link 1s that you're pretty much playing. And while this card is in your graveyard, if a face-up Sky Striker Ace, which is one of the link monsters you control, is destroyed by battle or leaves the field because of an opponent's card effect, you can special summon this card back to your side of the field. So basically she loses the armor and she goes back to her regular form. She's kind of like Samus from Metroid in a way. We then play 2 copies of Sky Striker Ace Rose. Rose is pretty neat. She helps out with playing more Sky Strikers in the deck that are main deck monsters, because there's literally only these 2 for the entire Sky Striker archetype for monsters. But her effect is if a Sky Striker Ace monster is normal or special summoned, then you can special summon this card from your hand. And if an opponent's monster in the extra monster zone is destroyed by battle or leaves the field because of an opponent's card effect while this card's in your grave, you can special summon this card. Then you can negate the effect of one monster opponent controls until the end phase of the turn. She's pretty good, and she's a good normal summon just to be able to get another copy of like Kangari on your side of the field to summon out one of your link monsters. We then play a Cyframe Gear Gamma package, which is 3 copies of Gamma and a single copy of Driver. This is the hand traps that I like to play in this particular build, because you can use this if you don't control a monster. You can just instantly activate the copy of your Gamma and then negate a monster effect, which can help you out with hand traps and stuff like that. But you have to keep in mind that you can't control a card while you activate this effect, which is kind of neat, because it has the ability when an opponent's monster activates its monster effect while you control no monsters. You can quick effect special summon both this and then the Driver onto your side of the field to be able just to negate that effect, which is kind of nice. We then play 3 copies of Numeron Wall. Numeron Wall is really good in the deck too. It helps us get into our copies of the field spell, because it has the ability to control no cards except Numeron Wall. You can quick effect send this card from your hand or field to the graveyard to activate a Numeron network directly from your hand or deck, which is kind of cool to be able to get that Numeron network directly on your side of the field, because it is absolutely insanely good. It also has the ability that when you take battle damage, you can special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, in the battle phase after the damage step. So it's a really good hand trap too, just to be able to end battle phases and stuff like that. And it helps you get your copies of your Numeron network on your side of the field so you can OTK your opponent. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So we play a lot of spells in this deck. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of our Numeron Network. Numeron Network is the field spell of the deck. You're going to be playing this a lot in the deck, because during your main phase, you can send a Numeron normal spell that meets its activation conditions from your deck to the graveyard, and then this card's effect becomes that card's effect. And then once per turn, if you're going to be activating, or actually, Numeron XYZ monsters you control that activate their effects can activate them without detaching material. So if you're going to activate something like your copies of 1 through 4, you can negate. You don't have to detach to activate their effects, which is really good. We then play 2 copies of Numeron Calling, which is the card that you're going to send to the graveyard off your copy of Numeron Network all the time, because this card is actually pretty decent. It lets you special summon out your copies of the gate number 1 through 4, and then once you summon your gate 1 through 4, you just kind of go off from there and, you know, OTK your opponent. It's really easy to do, but you can only special summon 1 more time per turn. Or actually, excuse me, if Numeron Network is on your side of the field and you control no monsters, you can special summon 4 Numeron gates with different names from your extra deck, but banish them during the end phase, and also you cannot normal summon and only special summon once for the rest of the turn. That's what it was. We then play 2 copies of Memories of Hope. Memories of Hope is another card that I'm really surprised that they didn't hit on the last list, because you draw cards equal to the number of XYZ monsters with different names you control. So basically, you can activate this when you have all 4 of the gates on your side of the field, and you get a wild draw 4 card, and you're not even playing Uno. I mean, it's good for you this time. You don't want to get hit by that wild draw 4 in Uno. You want to get a hit in this game. Like, hey, let me have that 4 cards. Cool. We then play a single copy of Call by the Grave, because we can only play 1 Call by the Grave now. It's still a good card to stop hand traps. 1 copy of Monster Reborn. It helps out with the consistency of the deck. Reinforcements of the Army helps us get our copies of Kangari from our deck to our hand. Mind Control, because it can take an opponent's monster and you could use it as link material for something. And it's just super good to get those monsters out of the way so you can OTK your opponent. Terraforming helps out a lot in this deck because it gets you to your field spell even faster. And then 2 copies of Mystical Space Typhoon. Okay, so this card can actually be changed out for Cosmic Cyclone if you want to play Cosmic Cyclone in this place. I play the MSTs because I still play the Sky Striker Airspace Area 0. Area 0 is really good in the deck, and this card can pop the Area 0, or it can pop an opponent's card, whereas Cosmic Cyclone banishes the card, and so you don't get the effect off, which kind of sucks. So sometimes you need to pop the card to get the search, so it just helps out a lot to be able to just pop the card, or especially some of the Sky Striker Ace from deck. So it just helps out to be able to get that monster onto your side of the field sometimes. So you use the MST over the copy of the Mystical or the Cosmic Cyclone. You can also play Twin Twisters in this place. You can play basically any spell and trap disruption here to be able to pop spells and traps. I like the MST personally because of the way that I explained it with the Area 0, but it depends on what you want to play. So that's it for the I guess tech spells. Let's get into these Sky Striker spells. So for these Sky Striker spells, we're going to be playing a single copy of Hornet Drones because you can only play 1 Hornet Drones. This card lets you special summon a token to your side of the field, which is pretty good. And also, if you have 3 or more spells, all your Sky Strikers spells gain additional effects if they have 3 or more spells in the graveyard. And when this card resolves, you can special summon the token, and it has 1500 attack and 1500 defense. We then play a single copy of Eagle Booster. I thought about bumping Eagle Booster up to 2, but this card, I feel like I'm just playing it as a 1-of right now, but this card's still pretty good because if you control no monsters in your main monster zone, you can target 1 face-up monster on the field. That target is unaffected by card effects in this turn and until except its own. And if you have 3 or more spells and traps, it cannot be destroyed by battle this turn either. So it basically makes the card immortal, which is really good. I really think I might bump this up to 2, and I might end up dropping my copy of Jamming Waves. I'm playing a single copy of Jamming Waves, but I'm thinking about dropping it for a second Eagle Booster. I've been thinking about it for a while, playing around with this deck, because this card comes in handy very seldomly now, but it comes up really nice in the matchup against Eldritch. Because if you control no monsters in your main monster zone, you can target 1 set spell or trap your opponent controls and destroy it. And you have 3 or more in your graveyard, you can destroy a monster on the field as well. So it can help you pop the Golden Lord if you need to pop that, or it can help you hit one of their back rows as well. So it just kind of depends on what you feel like you need. I feel like I'm really leaning towards putting the second Eagle Booster in over the other copy of Jamming Waves. We then play a single copy of Multi-Roll. Multi-Roll basically says, hey, you can use all of your Sky Striker spells twice, which is pretty neat. Once per turn, you can target 1 other card you control, send that card to the graveyard, and also your opponent cannot activate cards or effects in response to the spells activated for the rest of the turn. And then once per turn during the end phase, you can set any Sky Striker spells with different names in your graveyard up to the number of Sky Striker spells you activated this turn. So basically, if I activate 6 or 5 Sky Striker spells, well, this will be in this spell and trap card zone. So if I activate 4, I can set all 4 of the ones that I activated back face down, which is really cool because it just helps you out of the grind game so much. This card is actually really busted. We then play 2 copies of Afterburner. Afterburner, if you control no monsters, then you can target 1 face-up card monster on the field and destroy it. And then if you control, if you have 3 or more spells in your graveyard, then you can destroy a spell or trap as well, which is kind of cool. 2 copies of Area 0. Area 0 is the field spell. The big thing about this card that you're going to be using the majority of the time is when it gets destroyed. If this card in field spell zone is sent to the graveyard by a card effect, then you can special summon a Sky Striker Ace monster from your deck, which helps out a lot for getting out your copy of Rose or your copy of Ray. It depends on what you need. And also this has the ability that you can target 1 other card you control, and then you activate 3 cards from the top of your deck, and if you do, you get to add 1 excavated Sky Striker from your hand. You shuffle the rest back in your deck, and if you activated a Sky Striker card, you send the targeted card on your field to the graveyard. We play 3 copies of Shark Cannon. Shark Cannon I actually bumped up to 3 recently. I really feel like this card is nice, and I've really been enjoying the way that it's been playing in the deck, because it's kind of like Call by the Grave in a way, because it banishes something. If you control no monsters in your main monster zone, then you can target 1 monster, your opponent's graveyard, and you banish it. And if you have 3 or more spells, then you get to special summon that card to your side of the field, which is pretty good. It can't attack, but it still helps out getting that monster on your side of the field. And then we play 3 copies of Widow Anchor, because it can take an opponent's monster, and also it has the ability that it negates the effect. If you have 3 or more cards, 3 more spells in your graveyard, you get to take control of the monster. And if you have no monsters in your main monster zone, you can target 1 monster, affect monster on the field, negate that face-up monster's effect until the end phase of the turn. And if you have 3 or more spells, you get to take it too, which is pretty cool. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to be playing a single copy of number C, Numeron, Chaos Gate, Sonya. This card is basically just, when it's summoned, you just banish everything, which is pretty cool. Banishes all monsters on the field. I really like that effect because it can help you board wipe through Dragoons. We play a single copy of a Atopic Zexal. During your opponent's turn, you detach a material from this card, and then it negates everything your opponent's going to activate for the rest of the turn. They can't activate anything, which is pretty cool. We play 1 of each of the gates, which is gate number 4. We play gate number 3. We play gate number 2, and we play gate number 1. Each one of the Numeron gates, you play just 1 of each, because you're usually only going to resolve it once in a game with this particular deck, and the extra deck space is already really tight with the copies of your Sky Striker Aces. And so you just want to play 1 of each in this particular build. You can play regular Sky Strikers or regular Numeron with a couple of different tech cards, but you just need it at this particular number in this particular build. We play a single copy of Megaclops. Megaclops is really helpful because you can summon the Megaclops by linking away 3 of these monsters, 3 of these gates during the end phase, and you can summon Megaclops, and it's a 4K beat stick that's unaffected by everything except for XYZ monsters, which is pretty cool. And it also cannot be destroyed by battle except with an XYZ monster, so the only way they're getting rid of this is Utopia Double. We then play for our Sky Striker Aces. We play 3 copies of Kangari. Kangari, I still feel like, is a great 3-0. This card is probably the best card in the entire deck, because if this card is special summon, you get to target a Sky Striker in your graveyard, spell in your graveyard, and you add it to your hand, and it gains 100 attack for each spell in your graveyard, which is pretty good, but it gets those spells back from the graveyard back to your hand. You play 2 copies of Shizuku. Usually I'd be playing 3, but since we're playing the Numerons, I just play 2. It also has the ability that your monsters your opponent controls lose 100 attack for each spell in your graveyard, and then once per turn during the end phase, if this card is special summon this turn, you get to add a Sky Striker spell from your deck to your hand with a different name from cards in your graveyard, which is still pretty good to get your 1-ofs if you need to get like multi-roll and stuff like that. 2 copies of Hayate. Hayate can attack your opponent directly. And if it does, you can send a Sky Striker spell from your deck to your graveyard, or Sky Striker card from your deck to your graveyard. And then a single copy of Kaina. Kaina is just awesome. I really am glad that they finally reprinted her as a Prismatic Secret Rare, because now all of them are in Prismatic Secret Rare, which is kind of cool. And if this card is special summon, you get to target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls, and it can't attack until the end of your opponent's turn. And then each time you activate a Sky Striker spell, you gain 100 life points immediately after a card resolves, which is kind of good. It comes up every so often, but the negation effect is the one that you're really going to get off the majority of the time of not being able to attack until the end phase of your opponent's turn, which is the really good effect of this card. But it comes up very rarely. So that's it for this deck, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. It's a really weird, cool deck. Like, it works really well because you use the Sky Strikers to basically lock your opponent down, and then you just go in with the Numerons to OTK your opponent, which is the way that the deck functions, and it's really cool that you can actually fuse both these decks together. So anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell notification, come part notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below, because we got some awesome rewards for you guys, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.